Hey, everybody, GameHounds podcast. How are you? Welcome to one of the last shows of 2024.
I see you
Crazy
in
to
the.
think. Does this year go super fast for you too, Nick?
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't. Yeah, I
What does
don't
that mean?
know.
I don't think so.
It
It's either
seems
did or it didn't go fast for you. I think if anyone knows, it would be you.
well when I think back on the year. I don't know. It's hard to remember what happened at the beginning. Oh, Skull and Bones came out. Yeah, no, that was forever ago.
Yeah, you know what? Next week,
That
next
was
week is my birthday. Let's do a year in review. Because we can go through and we could look at the episodes that we've done and we can figure out what we talked about. And, beginning to end, like give a sense of like now that we see the end of the year, if we'd have known what we know now, how would our opinions change, that kind of thing.
I don't think my opinions on anything would have changed.
Well, it's just, last year Skull and Bones came out and I bought stock in the freaking company because I thought Skull and Bones was going to be big.
Well, okay, yeah, that's you problem.
It is a me problem, but there are lots of things that were like, we have no idea how this is going to play out. And it played out in ways that some of them we predicted and some we had no idea that were going to play out the way that they did. So, anyway, hi, how are you? We are doing this show today. We're not going to talk about any games we played. I mean, Nick's still playing, what was it? Metaphor Refantasio, Refandanzango, Refand whatever it is.
Refantasio.
Okay. Refrandingo. I am playing Diablo 4 still. Although I don't know I'm not going to be playing much more of it because I'm hitting the place which was the reason why I left Diablo 3, is that everybody stopped playing and I really didn't really enjoy it as a game on its own. It's just a bunch of running around killing things without any point. It's like, ooh, I'm stronger now. Yeah, so that's not that doesn't really compel me to keep playing a game just because I'm really high and can kill everything faster than everybody else. That's a dick waving thing. The
Mhm.
reason why I really liked 3 was because of multiplayer, as I was playing with you guys. But once you guys stopped playing, I didn't see any reason to keep playing because it wasn't much fun to me. Kind of at that stage right now, in that Chris is just taken off. He is like, what was it, Paragon level 100? I just hit Paragon level 2.
Oh,
So it's
geez.
like he's at this point so far ahead of me that it's like, I think I'm gonna stop playing now because he's not gonna want to play with me anymore, and I don't want to play, by myself because I'll never catch up. So I'm just gonna go back to like Veilguard to Dragon Age and actually finish
Mm.
playing my game. But so we're gonna talk about Game Awards because there's certainly more than enough to talk about for the entire show. There was so much dropped. And I get a sense that there was more discussed, more news, like big drops of information this year than I recall in the past. Like, I don't remember
Uh,
Game Awards being like, "Oh my god." I mean, maybe they had one, but there was a number of those that
and
dropped.
yes, this was something that me and Chaos Andrew were talking about
Mhm.
because we were texting through the Game Awards.
Yeah, and
That
while I was driving home in the Tesla, so my Tesla was like, "Bing, bing, bing," and I'm like, "You guys have to take it to your own private channel, dudes, because you're driving me nuts."
you can respond with your voice. You could have been included.
No, no, I couldn't. The thing is that it was like literally blink, 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 and I'm trying to like focus, and meanwhile the car is like making noises. And remember, the Teslas actually make noise when you're doing something wrong. So, like, if you're about to hit something, it makes a noise. If you're going out of your lane, it makes a noise. If there's a car right next to you and that's moving too close to you, it will make a noise. So, meanwhile, here's my car going bing, 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 and it's like, stop, just stop, stop.
Almost seems like a design flaw.
Well, I don't think you're anticipated in being in a group message that just goes nuts. Meanwhile, I cannot respond to the group. I have to respond to each of you individually. Because when I say reply to the car, it replies to whoever texted me, not the group that texted me. Make sense? So
Yeah, that
it's
seems like
kind
a
of
design flaw.
it is a bit of a design flaw. That very much is a design flaw.
Anyways,
Anyway, so let's talk about
as I was saying to Andrew is that yeah, this does feel like this actually kind of recaptured the feelings of those old E3s with a lot of the
Mhm.
big announcements from a lot
Yeah,
of varied sources. I think from an E3 perspective, this would have been a really, really good E3 show.
it would have.
It's still a little weird that it takes the context of an award show where they just bullet point, boom, 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 take it, go, take it, go, take it, go, take it, go. Like they shove the awards off to the side. And it's even like in the beginning, they would have all the people come up on screen and just announce the winner with little fanfare. But then they would at least have an award and they passed it to someone. Like the
Mhm.
winner was just standing off screen, and so they just handed the award to them, and the camera panned over, and they got to give a little speech. It was all like 60 seconds long
Right,
total.
right.
But then you get to like some of the bigger awards, like the best action adventure, best RPG, and they're just blah blah blah. Here's the winner. Blah blah blah. Here's the winner. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Here's the winner.
it's like the Game Awards was less about awards and more about trailers
And
and
yes,
announcements. And not
and
saying that that's a bad thing,
it
but it
all
did seem
has.
like the awards kinda took a back seat.
And the thing is, it's always been that way. Um, but I think before the balance was kind of maintained by the fact that honestly, the Game Awards wasn't the place you go for big announcements. Even Jeff's Summer Game Fest, like for the past several years, like they've always hyped up Jeff's events as like, oh, come see the big games. But there's actually not that many big games that get announced at these things because people like EA and Rockstar and everyone they want to save their big announcements for their own things,
Yeah,
which is why I found it really really surprising that a lot of companies did have big announcements here. You got a new CD Projekt Red game,
yeah,
a new Naughty Dog game. Sony
yeah.
didn't
New
save
From
that for their
Software,
thing.
DLC that's kind of game
Not
changing,
DLC,
literally.
not DLC, very explicitly not DLC.
It's very explicitly not DLC?
It's a standalone game.
Oh, it's a standalone game.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, something like that. So yeah, and I think that's where the balance kind of broke in that, oh, now these are really good announcements, and now you notice even more how little they seem to care about the awards, except for the final one. Because
Which
for
is
the
Game of the Year.
final award, they did this big fanfare where they had an orchestra play a medley of soundtracks for each of
Mhm.
the games,
Like they do in the Oscars.
and that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That was really awesome. As they were doing it, I was like, you know what? In fact, in retrospect, you were just asking, like, um, what did you think at the beginning of the year as opposed to the end? At
Mhm.
the beginning of the year, I think everyone was like, "Oh yeah, 2024 is going to be like a low year for games." You know, after last year where you
Yeah,
got
we figured
Baldur's
less.
Gate and like so many other big ones, like they had Zelda, Alan
That's right.
Wake,
Elden Ring.
Spider-Man. Yeah, Elden Ring. No, Elden Ring wasn't last year.
Elden Ring was last year.
No, it wasn't.
Elden Ring was last year because otherwise Elden Ring would have been nominated for this year. Elden Ring Erdtree
Elden
was
Ring won.
nominated.
Baldur's Gate won last year. Elden Ring won the year before.
Oh, it was the year before. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 2 years ago.
I completely lost my train of thought.
Anyway, you were saying 2023 we thought was so
Oh yeah,
huge.
we thought it would
2024
be
was going to be a down
we thought
year.
it'd be a low year, but as they were playing that medley and I'm looking at those games, I was like, you know what? This has been a cool fucking year. This
Yeah.
has been an
It's been
awesome
a
year for games.
really, really good year for games. Really good year for games.
Yes. And it helps too that fucking Larian elevating everything that they're a part of. Sven, the director of Baldur's Gate 3, got on stage to present the award for Best Game of the Year.
Mhm.
And his speech to do that was really fucking beautiful.
Was it? I didn't hear the speech.
Oh, it was great. You should absolutely listen to it. He's like, to paraphrase it, he said, like the winner of next year's award will win because they discovered the formula for the best game. And he
Mhm.
rattled off a list of things like they don't think of their players as, fees to be extracted. They
Right.
make the game that they wanted to instead of being forced
Game
to from on high.
that is the hottest thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he just talked about like the passion and the care and like the respect of the industry and like, oh, the idealized thing to make something not because it's oh, we think we can extract more money from people. Oh, it's a popular IP we can exploit, but to make something that they actually wanted to make.
Right. Right. They do it with a passion. That's about making a game that they're passionate about, as opposed to making a game that the widget salesmen think is going to be the next blankety blank.
Exactly. And so, and that actually made, well, we're jumping around, but that, I think that speech was
Mhm.
made more impactful in retrospect when Astrobot won. Because Astrobot kind of
Astrobot's
encapsulates a
a
lot of those
perfect
things.
example of that.
Because, like, people don't make platformers anymore, especially big companies other than
No.
Nintendo.
No,
Um,
a platformer won. A
yeah.
platformer won Game of the Year. Anybody who has not played Astrobot, let me repeat that. It won Game of the Year, and it was a platformer
Yeah.
against Shadow of the Erd Tree, against what were the other ones that it was up against?
Metaphor, Wukong,
Wukong,
Balatro,
against Wukong. Yeah, Black Myth
and
Wukong against Final Fantasy
yeah,
VII
Final
Rebirth,
Fantasy.
against
Yeah.
Metaphor, against Baltar, which was Balatro, which was I guess it was an independent game that won a bunch
Hmm.
of awards. Um, it beat an Elden Ring game, and it was a platformer. If you have not played Astrobot, go play Astrobot. It is the only game like it. Nobody else uses the technology that way. I don't know why anybody doesn't use the technology that way. And well, moreover, every review, every recap that I have heard of the Game Awards, the awards part of it, Astrobot winning, everybody's like, yep, good call.
Yeah.
Nobody is saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, Elden Ring was robbed. Oh, Final Fantasy was robbed. Wukong was robbed." Nope, not a single one of them is saying that. That's how good that game is. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, I am so about that simply because that's a perfect example of exactly what you're saying, that they made a game that they looked at the technology available and they said, "We don't care. We don't want to make another Fortnite. We want to use the technology." And honestly, it's Sony made it. It's a Sony studio. So of course
Oh
they're
yeah.
going to employ the technology. Astrobot originally was a tech demo for the
I
PS5?
think
Was it 4?
even the VR headset. I
Right.
think the first Astrobot game was for the PSVR.
No, the first Astro game was PS4. Yeah, PS4.
The PS4. Oh yeah, yeah, the PSVR headset
No,
for
the
PS4.
PS4, the previous PlayStation. It was a
Yeah.
tech for the previous PlayStation, not the VR
Oh,
headset.
I don't no, that's right. He wasn't even a tech demo. He was a little mascot that would jump around the screen when you had the PS4 camera on.
Right, but also there was a little game that came with it that was kind of using that same technology.
Don't think
It was a
so.
tech demo. It came free. It was the
But
first thing that you would play on the
yeah,
PS4.
that was for the PS5.
It was the PS5 or PS4?
PS5.
Okay. It was the
Yeah,
P but it
he
was the first
started
thing that you played. It was a tech
yeah,
demo for the
he
PS5. It
started
was
has
the
a
name of
little
the game. It's the
mascot.
equivalent of Wii Sports when you got a Wii.
Yeah. Um, but yeah,
And
I
they
think
broke it out into its own game because they realized they're the only ones that are using the technology the way it's supposed to be used. And I don't understand why more games are doing it. But the fact that they actually turned that little tech demo, actually, the original Astro was with the PS4 when it had the camera, and
yeah,
it had
that's what I
this little
said.
camera thing. It had this little tech demo where like all the little cameras are in, like you'd be like looking down on them and they look up at you. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's evolved from that to this full game that is a genuine, absolute, fully created game. And to this day, I don't understand why more games don't use it.
But
You'll be
yeah.
inherently underimpressed with every other use of a
The
controller,
rumble.
a
Yeah,
rumble
the
controller.
controller rumble.
Once you've played that game.
But I think it ended the show, Game Awards. It
Yeah.
ended really well because of that, because of like Sven's speech, the message, having like the underdog win the award. It
Hmm.
ended in a way that seemed to celebrate the artistry,
Right.
which kind of balanced out the hardcore commercialization that came
Yeah.
before. So that in the end,
Yeah.
when you come away, I'm like, that was a really good show. They
Yeah. It
really
left it
rubbed
left with a
it,
feel good, didn't it?
even though in retrospect it's like, oh no, that's the game of the year is like the only award that they gave a shit about.
Hmm.
Everything else they didn't. And but I do feel like each year the Game Awards finds that balance better and better. And so it gives me
Really? I thought it was even less this year than previous years.
no, I think the show is getting considerably better every year, especially when you think about its origins as the Spike TV Video Game Awards.
Yeah.
Like it's come a long way, and I think they look every year maybe up and down a little bit, but I think overall there is a the show and Keeley are just kind of growing more to better understand the balance that they need to hit. So yeah, good show.
Already we are being indexed from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Dude, where's my map? Edie says Skull and Bones and BG and E. Was it before Beyond Good and Evil 2 at next E3?
Was that the beginning of the year?
Yeah, 691 it sure was. Because we're at 768.
You were wrong on multiple levels because there wasn't even an E3.
Yeah.
Not only
Not only was there not Skull and Bones at E3, not only was there not Beyond Good and Evil 2 at E3, there
there
wasn't even
was
an
not
E3.
even an E3.
So yeah, here's the link for the speech, and I wish I could pull that up so that we could listen to
Yeah.
it.
Okay. But now that we have talked about the artistry of the Game Awards,
Edie says
now
she
that
wants
we
to
have
play Cyberpunk in
now
2024.
that we have celebrated the artistry of the year in games, let's talk about the commercialization. What was your favorite trailer?
What was my favorite trailer?
Yeah.
That's a
What
good
got you
question.
the most excited of all the big announcements?
Oh,
Because there were a bunch.
Witcher 4,
Okay.
without question. No question. Witcher 4 did it for me. Now, ones that I didn't expect to do it for me. I will say the trailer for Intergalactic looks really good. And I will
I
say that Borderlands 4 had a way of like getting down into me and going, fuck, that looks good. Fuck, I want to play that. But the one that I think that really stuck with me was Mafia: The Old Country.
Hmm.
That it gave me here. Let me start. Let's talk about each of these individually because there's a lot to talk about and all that. So let's let's talk about obviously Witcher 4.
Okay.
Um, we knew that it was going to happen,
Well, yeah,
but
they announced The Witcher 4 like a
it was a
couple of years
cinematic
ago at this
reveal. It
point.
wasn't like, a trailer or gameplay. It was just a cinematic reveal.
It
It
was it,
wasn't big news. We knew that they were gonna be doing that.
it was just an announcement of what they're working on.
Yeah, 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 and we knew they were working on it because, it's freaking Witcher 4. This is CD Projekt Red needs a little redemption.
They do, but
And
you
they
know
did
what?
their best. They redeemed themselves for Cyberpunk quite a bit.
But you know what?
But
I respect the developer that goes, we did the trilogy, we're moving on. Right?
right,
Like BioWare had a rough couple years and they responded with, let's go back to Dragon Age. Let's go back to Mass Effect. Let's go back to the hits that we once had.
right.
CD Projekt Red runs into a bit of an issue and they're like, oh, let's go back to The Witcher. I got to tell you, I respect Naughty Dog for going, you know what? We could make Last of Us 3, but fuck you. We're going to do something completely different.
Oh,
Come
that's right.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to
Yeah,
that.
we'll get to that. I'm like, wait a minute, Naughty Dog? This isn't Naughty Dog. So yes, Witcher
No.
3, CD Projekt Red. We knew that they were doing it, but even though I knew that they were doing it, that cinematic trailer gave me all the feels of I want this story.
Well, it's a good trailer because it has
Not about
the
the
ups and
gameplay.
downs
I
and like
want
the complicated morality
Yep,
of The Witcher, where you
yep,
try to do something good, but then things go bad, and it's like, well, what? Why did I try?
right.
It's got that
Right.
dark fantasy
Why am I trying to
nihilism that
save
The Witcher
humans
is
when
for.
humans are pieces of shit? In some ways. It's not this they're not all there's nothing but monsters. There are no gods, only monsters.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the last words
Mm.
of the trailer. And it's this trailer is so I mean this cinematic trailer so beautifully done, so beautifully crafted. It's so get you in all of the emotions. It was a story, an entire story of itself that whets the appetite for continuing on the lore of The Witcher, which is what The Witcher was a great game. Yes, absolutely. Fantastic game. But it was the lore of The Witcher that really made people, compelled them to keep wanting to play that game.
Mhm.
And this shows me that they can still tell a goddamn story, which is what they needed to do with The Witcher. If they don't tell this story, then it's just another, RPG, fighter RPG, adventure, cool. I mean, hey, perfect example. I'm playing Diablo and I'm fucking bored with it. One of the best games, arguably, of the year. Other people would absolutely argue. I hit level 60 and I'm like, I don't see any reason to play anymore. There's no fucking lore. Yes, there's lore, but it's by comparison to what Witcher delivers, doesn't even I mean it's the equivalent of Tetris for lore to what this is. So this I want this story. I want to live this world. I want to play this game the same reason I would want to see the next Star Wars. Because it of the story. I want to know where this is going to go. The fact that we're looking at Ciri again as the
Yes.
Witcher as
Yes.
opposed to Geralt also so freaking cool.
And
Now
they
I know
actually
the the anti-woke crowd will be upset that you're playing a girl, but this is fucking Siri. This is part of
no,
the story,
no.
always has been.
Again, they have plenty to complain about with Naughty Dog's game. They won't talk about The Witcher.
Sure. Yeah.
um, um, but City Project Red hasn't had an interview with IGN where they kind of talked about uh, going with Siri because they've said Geralt is still in it. He's not
Yeah,
just
he's
dead
not
and
gone,
disappeared. He's
but
just
this is
not the
not his story.
protagonist.
His story, I mean, we've played 3 episodes of his story.
Yeah, and there's also like an entire book series with
Right.
him.
He's
Um,
kind of old at this point. Now we wanna see where this is gonna go.
yeah, and so one of the interesting things they said is that that Ciri isn't really a Witcher, that the game is kind of about her becoming a Witcher, like her first steps into that, like the beginning of it.
Right, and
Um,
didn't
and
she
as a
drink
result,
a potion?
because she's a younger person, you'll kind of have a broader range of choices in how to approach all of the moral decisions. Geralt, by the time we play him, is like a pretty well-formed individual, right? He has a very
Right.
distinctive character.
Yeah, and
Whereas
he's
with
already
Ciri,
a witcher, he's been around people he's like I don't wanna say he's an old man, but, he's
he's
long in the
he's
tooth of being a witcher.
resigned. He's resigned. He kind of knows how to deal with things. He knows how to
Yeah,
deal with people.
yeah.
He knows his morality. Siri has like kind of a new Witcher. You'll have a bigger range to you know, how she deals with things. Is she
Mhm.
vengeful? Is she kind? What does she do? And that's interesting. You'll have a bit more variety in how much of an asshole you want to be.
Right. Yeah, and this whole trailer is just so powerful and so awesome. Even, like, I'm looking at right now of her decapitating I guess it was a hag? Um,
Maybe I don't know the monsters.
I don't know the monsters either, but, generally speaking, if it looks like an evil woman's face with a crooked nose, it's gonna be a hag. Um But, her decapitating that hag just had this, like, gravitas to it that, it shouldn't, but it did. It got me. So
Mhm.
anyway, um, can't wait. Absolutely. I'm down for it. I don't think I'm alone in that I would not be feeling this way about this game had they not redeemed themselves on Cyberpunk 2023.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think if they had just tried to put that behind them, this game would have a much bigger cloud hanging over them.
Mhm.
It would have been a lot like Silent Hill 2. Like when that game came out earlier, like the month ago, a lot of people were Blooper Team. I'm not really a fan of them. I was like this. Is Blooper Team the right developer to do this? But the game came out. It did very well, rave reviews, and everyone's like, "Hey, Blooper Team, you were the one." But for all of like the press cycle, it had this dark cloud hanging over it of people's expectations being really low.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, it's good that they were able to salvage that reputation, that people can look forward to the game with excitement rather than weariness.
Well, they salvaged enough of the reputation by fixing Cyberpunk 2023
Yeah, that's what I mean.
and supporting it. But man, this is a make or break for CD Projekt Red. Oops, sorry.
They also gave an interview
This
with
is a make-
IGN where they talked about how much their development pipeline changed as a result of Cyberpunk and how, let's see, where was the
oh yeah.
quote that they said? So we are planning a different way. We communicate with the teams. We work with the teams in a different way. Teams are also planned different than we are, so it's already helping. Basically,
Right.
they've kind of changed their studio structure to hopefully not have a launch disaster like Cyberpunk.
Yeah. And I think it's a good thing that they are painfully aware that if they have another how many sneezes are we gonna get? Come on, sneeze.
Keep going.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Don't stop the podcast for my sneeze.
That was awesome. What was I saying? I got just so derailed by Nick's sneezing fit.
Yeah, development that they salvaged the
Oh,
reputation.
oh, yeah, that they know that given what happened with Cyberpunk 2023, if they screw this up, they should just close the studio.
No, I see. I think that they're in a much better place. I think if Witcher 4 comes out and is just okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. Like they put out enough things. When you actually think about the trajectory of CD Projekt Red,
Mhm.
they made The Witcher,
Right.
which came out on PC and was like a very niche PC sicko hit. They came out with The Witcher 2,
Which was a
which
little bit
was
larger.
a bigger hit.
Right.
Went to consoles, found a much bigger audience. That's why
Right.
I got onto the franchise.
That's
Witcher
what I did too.
Witcher 3 was the big breakout sequel, right? That was the Batman Begins to Dark Knight type of breakout sequel. Edie disappeared, but I'm gonna keep talking. Then they followed up their biggest hit with something completely different and very risky, like which I gotta respect, but that kind of flopped. And thankfully they've kept with it and they redeemed Cyberpunk, as we've been saying, and that now it's generally considered to be pretty good. But now they're going into another Witcher game. And so basically they have two like a tiny hit, a moderate hit, a huge hit, a flop that turned into a success. Like they're kind of up and down. Like I think it's too early to kind of give the whole studio an ultimatum when they've really only released 4 games. Let's see, what is Edie saying? Oh my god. Apparently her computer overheated and shut down. Okay, what's AC Race says? They're on GOG. They're fine on PC. They have little to make up for their loved. Yeah, you mean all the Witcher games? Yeah, I'm sure. The first game, I think, is mostly known as being like kind of a little weirdo game. But okay, slight recap. What I was saying is that it's too early to give CD Projekt Red this ultimatum as a studio because they've really only released 4 games that have been wildly different.
Yeah.
Tiny hit, moderate hit, huge hit, flop that became a success. Like They,
Yeah,
they
yeah, but I
their
got enough
history
people.
their history is not a straight line. Their
It's
history is a
it's
mountaintop.
actually, I disagree. Their history very much was a straight line with a small hit, a medium hit, a huge hit, and then we're releasing a whole new game, and we are going to cash in all of the good feelings that everybody has, the complete faith that the gaming public has, and we're going to release this hit that is going to blow you away, and it's not just not good, it is a hot mess, like legendarily hot mess. So it was a straight line and it went straight up and straight the fuck down. And now they have clawed their way back to a modicum of respectability, but nobody has forgotten that they released an
Mm,
un completely unfinished, broken as fuck game
baseball.
that was the most expected, like the most hyped.
Yeah,
They hyped the shit out of that thing, and they should have known that it was bad.
but baseball rules.
Baseball?
Baseball rules. 3 strikes.
Yeah,
You get
maybe,
3 strikes.
maybe. Well,
Cyberpunk was strike 1, but then they got another pitch and they hit and they at least I'd say they at least turned it into a double.
I think that their flop of what and we're talking about day of release, not the ultimate of what Cyberpunk turned out to be, but what it was upon release.
Sure, but I think you have to consider what
Add
it is
that
now.
in The Witcher, which is held in unbelievable reverence in many, many, many circles of the interwebs, and the gaming public. Had that been The Witcher, the sense of betrayal would have been far worse than if it had just been a new IP that they screwed up.
Sure, but that's
So if they
a
screw up The
different
Witcher
timeline.
4, they are going to they have scraped back a modicum of their political or their good feeling, their cachet, so to speak.
So
Their currency of the support of the public. They have scraped it back, but
okay, so imagine
they're not
imagine
recovered.
a studio takes a shift in direction and puts out a game that flops really hard, like, I don't know, Anthem. And
Mhm.
then they're like, okay, let's go back to one of the safety of our old franchises. Let's make a new Mass Effect. And then they kind of mess that up. Boy, the sense of betrayal is huge.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Is it they screwed up
But
Anthem, and then
but
they
what I'm
came
saying
out with Andromeda, and Andromeda was horrible, and then everybody, like, nobody trusts them. It's think of it less
exactly,
like
and
a
that's what I
game.
mean. They have this other chance. Like
Right.
it's
Think
too
of it
early to give an ultimatum that it should be
right, but
shut
think of
down.
it more of a relationship. Like, they're the best boyfriend/girlfriend ever. Absolutely wonderful. Trust them. I've never been in love or trusted anyone more than I trust you. And then they cheat on you. Like, you walk in on them fucking somebody else in your bed. And they're like, "Never again. I'm so sorry. I will fix this if you stick with me, I will fix this relationship." And they were really good and they said, "I'm going to fix this relationship." And they did all the things that they promised they were going to do to fix the relationship. You're still married or still with them, but the trust is a little bit broken. And if I catch you on the phone, if I catch you texting someone else, like before, I got a text, no problem. I trust you. I believe you. You'd never cheat on me. Now you've cheated on me. Now, if I catch you texting someone, I'm going to be a lot more angry and a lot more suspicious that you got something else going on because you've broken my trust.
I think
Trust is something
if
like that is never going to be completely repaired.
if you as a person,
Hmm.
audience, listeners, viewers, if you take the release of a poorly optimized game has a betrayal at the same level of a loved one cheating on you, you need to
People are
rethink your
very
life. You
people are
need to rethink
very
your life.
personal.
No,
Any
that's
other company but
nope,
CD Projekt Red,
no.
because we
That is a
believe them.
terrible relationship to be in. That is the definition of like parasocial internet relationship. That is
Asking
not
asking
good. That is
asking for
not
failure,
good. That is
asking to be
bad.
betrayed. Absolutely. Completely agree with you, but it
You
doesn't
need to
change the fact that a
rethink your
lot of people
life.
trusted them
Doesn't
unequivocally,
change the fact
inexorably, trusted with a
you
capital T.
you gotta ignore those people because those people are fucking crazy. Those people are fucking
Those are
crazy.
crazy girlfriends. Those
You
are
do
super
not
crazy. Those are like stalker boyfriends.
you
Yes, you're right.
cannot court that audience because that is how you doom yourself.
It's kinda true. It's kinda true. But even
Target
so
the normies.
even so, um, they're also the
Anyways,
loudest ones that if this is bad, this is they're gonna be the loudest ones, and they're going to absolutely eviscerate it. So,
I mean, yes, and
anyway,
that's also
they have a
a
lot
larger
riding on this game.
larger issue.
They have a lot riding on this game, and from what they delivered at the Game Awards for that cinematic trailer, they've raised a lot of expectations now. I mean, I want this game today,
Yeah, it
right
looks good.
now, because that trailer was awesome. Anyway, we talked enough about Witcher.
Yes.
Now, the other game that came up that was like that I mentioned, that was like, fuck, man, that looks so good, and it just reminded me how much I want to play this game again. It's Borderlands 4.
So I want to hear about this because I watched this trailer and was like, eh. It didn't
Um,
sell me on anything.
It didn't, but there was still something that really I they even showed Skittles on the screen where it's like there's enough of it that reminds me of how much fun I had that's the thing. It reminded me how much I
They
love
they they shot
Borderlands.
you in the nostalgia. That was
They
it.
absolutely hit me in all the nostalgia feels.
Nothing about the the game itself. It's just, oh, I remember the good
No,
times
like,
I had.
goddamn, I freaking love Borderlands, and I forgot how much I love Borderlands, and just seeing it made me go, "Oh, man, I'm so gonna play the crap out of this game." Um, the fact that there seems to be a new faction of these, like, robot type things going on? I don't know. There's, of course, this character, which I wanna know all about, which was the
Big
masked woman
big
kind of
spider lady with
Valkyrie.
yeah, she's got
Yeah, the Doctor Octopus kind of
yeah,
thing going.
but if Dr. Octopus only had 2 legs.
Right, right. And then there's this, like, Attack of the Clones kind of army going on, being run by this guy that we have no idea who it is, don't even have a face on it, just knows that he wants to destroy the maniacs. What's that called? The bandits.
Yeah, I believe it's bandits.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
bandits. Um, yeah, I'm it was enough of the feelsies that made me go, "Oh, fuck yeah, I wanna play this. I totally wanna play this." So, I'm sorry, I have to change the banner here, I still have it on Witcher 4.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it hit me and, reminded me how much I love Borderlands.
Okay.
No,
So
it
yeah.
didn't do that for you?
No, it was just like I looked at it and said, "Yeah, that looks like Borderlands that I haven't played the past 3, 4 games that they put out," and so it doesn't really.
Oh, really? You didn't yeah, you played the last one, didn't you?
No, I didn't play the pre-sequel. I stopped at 2. So I didn't play the pre-sequel or
Oh.
3 or the new Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh, okay. Well, then that makes sense that you didn't catch all that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing about Borderlands is that you can drop in and out and you haven't missed much. I mean, if you want to go into the lore of it and the story, yeah, absolutely. But generally speaking, you don't really need to know. It's
Yeah.
fine.
It all depends on who else buys the game and who I play it with.
Right,
That's really
right,
what will
right,
determine
and
it.
that's ultimately what Borderlands is. It's a fantastic freaking game to play with your friends.
It all depends on what other games come out at the same time that will most likely pull me away.
2025 is gonna be a hell of a year.
Yeah.
2025 is mounting up to be a hell of a year. And then, of course, the one that is a new IP that made me go, that looks kind of good was The Old Country. Uh, uh,
Mm.
uh, the what was it?
Mafia.
Mafia, The Old Country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that was another one that we knew about this. It's not like it was a new IP
Yeah, I
that we
think they
never heard
announced
it
it.
or they talked about this last year
Yeah.
or earlier this year. But the fact that it was, obviously more, there was obviously another cinematic trailer.
Mm.
And it was a little more, fleshed out, a little more like, more story obviously involved. The thing that made me go, "Mm, I think I'm gonna like this," is the environments. And
Mm.
it's coming up
The
on
old
we have
Italy.
the trailer on the screen right now. What did it for me was seeing the guy with the horse with the background of Italy behind it, and it just gave me, for a very slight moment, it gave me a little bit of a feeling of Kingdom Come Deliverance. Tiny
but
little bit where
but
I'm like,
why would you
right
settle
here,
for the
this thing right
imitation
here. It
when
just
you have the
seeing
real
that
thing
background.
coming out before?
I don't know. Well, the real thing is coming out, but it's that same idea of this story of a young man in this situation. Granted, it looks like this guy wants to be there as opposed to Kingdom Come where he's kind of forced into it. But it just I'm liking it. I'm feeling it. It
What
all comes
strikes
down
me
again to
is
the story.
how some of the scenes look like near photorealistic, and then others look like they're from a video game.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of that feeling I'm gonna get playing it when it comes out. Um, is are the consoles strong enough to get the photorealistic parts, or am I just gonna be playing a video game? Because
I don't know.
and a lot of it depends on the lighting. They have a lot of really good lighting with like just a beam of light across a guy's eyes that looks really
Mhm.
good. But then
Mhm.
when he's fighting in a clock tower, I'm like, oh yeah, that looks like a game.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
looks like a game.
Well, I mean, it looks like
I've
gameplay.
played
There
that game.
obviously was some gameplay
It's
showing.
it's a guy crouching behind chest high cover that he's
Yep.
gonna pop out of and shoot other people who are hiding behind chest high
Yeah,
cover.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
oh, I've I've seen this game.
Well, if you wanna talk about the, trailer, the announcement trailer of Intergalactic, that has the photorealism that is
Yes.
impressive as all get out. This
And I
game
will say,
looks
because it's
amazing.
coming from Naughty Dog, I expect the game to look like this.
Right. And you were talking about how Naughty Dog is like, "Oh, yeah, you want it you want what you regularly get from me? Here, let me throw something else at you."
Although the fact that they have this quote, "The suffering of generations must be endured to achieve a divine end."
Yeah.
I imagine that um Neil Druckmann has like a real dark sensibility at his heart.
Mhm.
Because even the Uncharted game that he directed was good because it was like it forced the characters to deal with like dark subjects and actually it wasn't just a rip roaring fun adventure.
Right.
And so this trailer wanted to show this game off as a rip roaring fun space adventure. But based on that quote, I suspect that whatever hidden secret planet she goes to is going to have a whole bunch of horrible stuff on it. I
Mhm.
imagine this will be like kind of a dark Uncharted adventure. That
That's what it feels like.
it will be less quippy and fun than you kind of think of Uncharted being, even though Uncharted wasn't always that. Like it was a series that kind of knew when to be serious.
Right.
But I think this is going to be exist on the spectrum of tone between Uncharted and Last of Us.
Mhm. Mhm. And man, I cannot put into words why it just hit me, but this particular character seems so unbelievably expressive and real
There's a
compared
moment
to others.
there's a moment when she's drinking a soda out of a straw
Yeah.
that
When
she
somebody's
has a,
asking her a question and she's trying to say, "I'm not listening," like, "Go
and
ahead,
she
but
has like a
I'm still
facial
gonna do what I wanna
expression
do."
that I don't think I've ever seen in a video game before, just because of the way the lips and the eyebrows and everything kind of contorts. Like it's
Mhm.
not a natural motion that
Mhm.
it's not a motion that your lips would make often. And so
That one right there.
this the way she's sucking on the straw, like most it makes no logical sense to put a bunch of resources into modeling a character that can do that because it's going to happen one time.
Right.
But the fact that they did do that is shows, oh, okay, you want to go for that super photorealistic.
Yeah, and this super
And that's what
photorealism
sells it.
is, to me, and I don't know, I can't tell you why, but it dropped my jaw.
Well, I think
It
it's
made
also the
me
fact that like
go,
you can see her
"This looks
reflection in the
fucking awesome."
screen.
Yeah, yeah. This character has that facial expression, it has that aura that a human being would have that would make me want to follow that character in a movie.
Yeah.
It's like you just know her, you feel her just by the way she moves, just by her facial expressions, just by her looks. You could just like it, just the tiny little cast of an eye, an eye flick one direction or another, that you see conversations being had in her head that I just haven't seen in a game before like this.
Hmm.
And also, let's give credit where credit's due. It did pay some pretty good homage to some pretty awesome 80s music. So, um, anyway,
I do really dig the aesthetic that they're going for, because as she's walking through, I was like, is this Alien? Because
right?
it looks
Yes,
like Alien, but then there's
I got the
anime,
same thing.
there's 80s anime playing on the TV.
Right, right. And she's driving a Porsche.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is an interesting mix of eras
Yep.
where you've got like Porsche anime, but also sci-fi weaponry and killer
Yeah, yeah,
robots.
and it almost looks a little bit like, dare I say, Borderlands. It has that Borderlands feel to it in the
Mm.
robot that you've got. Yeah, it doesn't, even in the titling, it feels 80s. So
But
I'm
yeah, like their whole intergalactic the heretic prophet, like it sounds like a serialized adventure in the way that Uncharted was, like Uncharted Drake's
yeah,
Deception Among
yeah.
Thieves.
And
It's
she's got the same kind of aura that, Nathan Drake would have. She has
yeah.
that feel, that kinda cocky, "I'm gonna do this" feel, and she's gonna screw up. She knows she's making a horrible mistake while she's doing it. She's gonna get herself into a situation she did not
Oh, of
expect,
course.
but she's just gonna power her way through it, and it's like, I'm there for this. And with in a way that I cannot put into actual description, like, I can't point to one thing in this trailer and go, "This is this is why I feel this way." It's the whole package
Hmm.
makes me feel that way. And that's a really good trailer. Is that you want something, but you can't tell why.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And and the fact that this trailer is what closed out the show is, I think, one of the things that set this Game Awards apart from others,
Mhm.
because I would have bet that Sony would keep this for their state of play in December, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe they have a state of play in February. Why
Yeah.
would they give this to the Game Awards when they could have it there? But they did. And that kind of made for a much bigger feeling show because you
Right.
had a bigger announcement around it.
Mhm.
But I'm still surprised that like it wasn't just the indie studios, like, AAA indies like CD Project Red putting out a trailer for them. It's even the big companies like Sony and who was it? Capcom.
Mhm. Capcom
Um
from
yeah, From's also a big indie.
right. True.
Well, Bandai Namco, but like they don't have their own show,
Right.
right? Anyways, well, we talked about Elden Ring, so we'll go on to Elden Ring
Let's
then.
do.
Elden Ring Night Rain is a really interesting because it's basically a remix of all of FromSoft's previous games, kind of smushed together into this co-op, almost roguelike package. So basically, what Night Rain is, it will take place in the land of Limgrave, which is part of the world of Elden Ring. If you've played Elden Ring, you know Limgrave. That's the starting area. Well, actually, I don't think it's all Limgrave. I think that might have just been the demo that people got to play. But it's a co-op game meant to be played with either one person or three people. So you can play solo, but if you do
Oh,
co-op, it has to be three people.
okay.
The way it works is it's broken up into days. And on the beginning of day one, you have to go out with your friends and explore and try to find weapons. And you do this for like 15 minutes until the day ends. And when the day ends, it ends with a boss fight that you and your team have to defeat. When you defeat them, go on to the next day. And, you know, it kind of progresses like that with you. In an interview, they have said that they wanted this to be a very condensed version of Elden Ring. Like, take the arc of a FromSoft game of going around finding weapons and stuff, and keep an eye on that blue fire. That's really important. I'll get to that in a second. But they wanted to condense the experience into something really short. And so I think overall the excursions are an hour long. So this process of go out and find weapons, fight a boss, go find weapons, fight a boss, go find weapons, fight the end boss, that's an excursion. And those are designed to last like an hour. So it's, hey, have a good co-op fun with your friends and kind of get that Elden Ring from software experience condensed into an hour. But the way that it kind of funnels you is that fire you see is essentially a battle royale Fortnite edge of the map that slowly closes in. And so as you progress through the days, the map gets smaller and smaller in order to funnel you into an area where the final boss will be.
Oh, neat.
So it's an interesting mix of all sorts of different FromSoft games. And they've even said too, at the beginning, you can choose your character. And the character classes, they've kind of remixed all of them. It's not the character classes you see in Elden Ring. It's a whole new set that have much more defined abilities. Like this guy's your DPS, this guy's your tank, this guy can summon. And again, they did it to kind of create an Elden Ring that you can play, where you can just hop in for a little bit, play with some friends, and then hop out.
Which is a smart way to do multiplayer, because as much as
Yeah,
we all love to have an entire, like, go for like 8 hours straight, realistically, you're not going to get a lot of players that play 8 hours straight.
yeah. And they made something that's like, if you have a co-op experience that's kind of defined by hour-long incursions, it's nice to kind of create characters that you can just jump into.
Right. Right.
But they also have said that the bosses are not limited to Elden Ring bosses. Not only will you have some new monsters and stuff because of like the Night Rain, but they've taken bosses from the Dark Souls series as well.
Oh,
Like
really?
they've basically taken a whole bunch of stuff that Bandai Namco owns and kind of put it all into one game and said, you know what, this boss in Dark Souls 3 was really cool. Let's put it in Night Rain. And
That's
so
kind of
it's kind of a
greatest hits.
multiplayer greatest hits.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that sounds awesome. I can't wait to
I would play this probably badly,
I can't
but I
wait
would play
to
this
buy
game
this for you and so that we can play together.
so that I can appreciate the soul-crushing experience that Elden Ring is, that I've avoided up
Exactly.
to this moment. Oh,
So that
great.
you can
Thanks.
understand the masochistic joy.
I don't know about that,
Oh, it's
but it's
beautiful.
worth a shot.
Join us,
Uh,
sweetie.
yeah, no, I'm not gonna like it, but I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot. All right, so let's get through some of the other, like, like touch on the trailers, and then we can hit, or the reveals, and then hit the awards.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, the awards. We didn't we
yeah,
talked
we haven't
about
talked
game of
about
the
that.
year.
Virtua Fighter coming back,
Yeah,
kind
well,
of a big thing.
I mean, it's unnamed, but Fumito Ueda. This is also one of their biggest
Right. What
reveals.
was it that the what do they call that? Project Century?
Project Gen, or like Untitled Gen Design game, because I
Oh,
think Gen
okay.
Design is the name of the engine. But
Hmm.
this is the guy who did Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Lost Guardian,
Right.
The Last Guardian.
Last Guardian.
And so the fact that he got a new game, I'm immediately like, this is going to be the best game ever made.
Hmm.
This is going to set a new standard for
You're in.
gaming everywhere. I'm hardcore in.
You're down. Okay.
And again, I think that's one of their huge things is this guy who's made all these classics is now making something else.
Hmm.
Not for Sony, too, interestingly enough.
Right. Yeah. That's also kind of interesting as well.
Mhm.
It is.
They didn't show much, but what they showed looked weird and dramatic. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It's this guy climbing up into a giant robot, has this black wave
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
toward him, and then he gets in the head of the robot and he takes off, and you see the body disintegrate. And it's like, I don't know what's going on, but god damn, this
It's an
feels
interesting it almost
dramatic.
had a somewhat of a feel of, god damn it. The
Space? The what? Gotta give me a hint.
I
I
know.
know, I know AC Wraith, I'll talk about it in a second.
Walking Dead guy,
Robert
played
Kirkman?
Daryl.
Oh, Daryl Dixon?
The
Death
Walking no,
Stranding.
the guy, the
Death Stranding?
Death Stranding, thank you. Oh god, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it almost reminded me of that feeling of Death Stranding when I saw that wave coming, and I'm like,
I
"I
can
can
see
see
that.
it."
It's got that kind of same apocalyptic weirdness.
Yeah, apocalyptic, kind of futuristic, kind of yeah, like, there was just something about that, and it's got that same kind of I don't know, there's nothing specific that you could point at, but it had that feel of the reveal of Death Stranding, if you
Mm.
recall. Remember that reveal of Death
Yeah,
Stranding
with the
on the
5
beach?
people sitting up there. Also, by the way, those like 5 bodies up there, I don't know what those are.
Yeah, don't know.
I beat the game. I don't know what they mean.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's the thing.
In the interest of appeasing AC Wraith,
Mhm.
Capcom also announced a sequel to Okami, which
Yes.
is kind of funny because that game is like 25 years old.
Mhm.
And I think it's been remade a couple times, but they didn't have a name. It was
It
just announced as the Okami sequel.
wasn't this isn't Onimusha, this is something
No,
different.
no.
Okay.
Okami. Okami is the game that came out on PS2 that you played as a fox and you had like the paintbrush that you could
Oh, yes,
paint on the
I did
world.
not see that trailer.
It wasn't
'Cause I
much of
didn't
a trailer.
yeah.
It was basically just Okami sequel.
Oh, okay, that's why.
But speaking of Onimusha, I've
Mhm.
actually been wanting to play Onimusha again. Um, and the trailer they showed looked fucking cool.
It did.
It
It
looked
really did.
pretty cool.
But you got a long time to wait. It's 2026. We're talking 2 years from now. Or
Mm,
more than a year, I should say.
year and a half,
Year and a half.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Hey, that's okay. Look, there's enough coming out in 25. I can wait.
Yeah, that's for sure. Alright, so any other trailers you wanted to kinda give a honorable mention to?
Split Fiction from Joseph Ferris,
I don't
who
know that I saw that one.
did It Takes Two.
Yeah.
They announced a new game that looks really fun. It's another big co-op adventure where two women writers kind of get stuck in this virtual reality bubble
Mhm.
that's in both of their minds. One of them writes fantasy, one of them writes sci-fi, and so the premise of the game is you kind of jump back and forth from a fantasy level to a sci-fi level, a fantasy level to a sci-fi level. And you're doing each of the, co-op adventurous things, but with sci-fi and fantasy themed each level. They talked about how each level will kind of have its own mechanic, whether that be running around with a ball or like training dragons. So you kind of
Mhm.
get a little bit of Metroid, a little bit of dragon riding.
There we go. Now I finally got
Uh,
it actually working.
it's right, yeah, Okami the Wolf Goddess. Oh, Amaterasu. Okay.
Yeah, I did not watch this, but it looks kind of cool.
It looks cool, and it reminded me that God, I need to play It Takes Two.
I do too. I kind of want to play it. I would like to play it with you.
I won't play it with
I don't know
Rachel.
if I want to play it with the boy. We've already seen Nick has already experienced my life with the boy in just asking for someone to buy unsalted butter. We have salted butter in the house and trying to explain unsalted butter is necessary for baking and it is Christmas and I'm baking. Although also I am stuck here for at least a month. God, you haven't seen it. Let's see if I can actually pull it up
No,
on this.
I've seen the pictures that you sent to Pilot Chris.
Oh, yes, you saw the pictures that I sent to Pilot Chris.
Yeah.
I haven't shown them here, and I think I'll be able to pull them up here. So this is uh, to give you an idea, this is a picture of the front bedroom looking into the bathroom. So I have no walls on my bathroom anywhere. I don't have a toilet. I don't have a sink. I have no walls. Yeah, and nothing. It's empty. So I've got no bathroom. So I'm stuck here in and worse, the demolition was supposed to take 1 day. I ended up talking to the guy who did the demolition because it's tiny. You can see it's a tiny little bathroom. The guy that did the demolition said, "Yeah, it was supposed to take 1 day. It took 3 days." I'm like, "Really? Why?" And he goes, "Well, we pulled off the pink plastic melamite, and underneath that was drywall. So then we pulled off the drywall and we found plaster. So then we pulled off the plaster and then we found plastered lath. So it was 3 levels, 3 layers of walls. They just put walls on top of walls on top of walls instead of actually pulling out the old walls. So it was supposed to be a small amount of debris and 1 day took 3 days, and it was essentially 3 full rooms of stuff. So my whole house now is layered, and I'm talking about the whole fucking house. And I didn't close any of my it was stupid of me. Didn't close my closets where all my clothes are or anything. Is layered in this fine layer of plaster dust. The entire house, floor to ceiling, every piece of clothing, you pick it up and it's like white powder everywhere. So it is going to be a monumental task. I'm probably going to have it professionally cleaned. I'm going to have to wash absolutely everything I've ever owned. Yeah, I'm just shy of like just pulling it all out and setting it on fire in the front yard. But yes, I am stuck here for at least a month.
Yeah, that's a sucky situation.
Yeah. And I would go out and I would get an apartment, but I got nothing to put in it because it's all covered in plaster dust. I don't even have any clothes. The
See,
pairs of underwear that I brought over would be the only pairs of underwear I have.
AC Red says the cleaners might find your Steam Deck.
Oh, thoughts.
It's a good thing you brought your PlayStation over before this happened.
I know, but the Xbox Series X is still sitting in the house.
Yeah, no, it's dead now.
Covered in plaster dust.
Yeah, it's gone. It's dead.
It's a loss.
So's
So
the
anyway,
Steam Deck. So's the Steam Deck. That thing's probably busted beyond repair.
no, the Steam Deck is in a case.
I'll take it off your hands. It is ruined. It's just parts, but I might be able to like Frankenstein something together.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk awards.
Oh no,
we are at 1 hour.
We can't talk awards because there's still at least one big thing that we got to talk about. Helldivers got an update that is out now.
Oh, yeah.
The new
that wasn't in the Game Awards. That was just an update.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, was it in the Game Awards?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was out now. So this update is live. The Illuminati, the new alien faction, was released.
A third Really
And IGN has a breakdown of what it's like. Apparently, all the Illuminati levels take place in cities, on city streets. It's an urban environment, which is not something we've ever seen in Helldivers before.
Mhm.
Um, and it has a bit of a what they say. What was that game mode from Gears of War? Like a rush, basically a horde.
Right.
A bit of
Horde
horde
mode.
style gameplay because they take over citizens. There are now citizens running
Mhm.
around in the streets who can be mind controlled by the Illuminati and turned into zombies to chase after you. So there's a bit of that horde gameplay, but also there's a vehicle which, by all accounts, is a warthog from Halo, because it's a vehicle with a driver, two people that can sit in the passenger in the rear and shoot out, and then one person on a turret in the back. It is a warthog, but you can use that to very quickly drive around the city streets.
Mhm.
Um, and I think this looks particularly interesting and cool because it's such a departure from what you think of with Helldivers. When I think of Helldivers, I don't think of urban gameplay. Like
Mhm. No, you
that
think of,
environment,
like, other, like, different
yeah, but
environmental
like
planet
vast
wide.
open wilderness.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think this is really cool. We got to go back and kill some aliens. We got to put the capes back on.
Yeah.
Fight for democracy.
Yeah. There it is. There's the warthog.
Hmm.
I can imagine the feel inside the auditorium when that thing hit the screen. People must have lost their minds. But yes, so I'm kind of excited about that, and maybe we should be doing this tonight instead of me playing freaking stupid ass, sorry, Diablo.
You could play what happened to Dragon Age.
I was Dragon Age 2, but I kind of feel like, well, I can't do it tonight because it's the 93rd birthday of the old man. So
Yeah,
Chris's father turns 93 today. Turned.
celebrate the birthday.
Yeah, we have to celebrate the birthday. I've already made a cake and dropped it on the ground. So I have to try and remake another cake.
So yeah, there was some other announcements, lots of other announcements. But I
Mhm.
think those are the ones that stood out to us the most.
Right.
Uh, we have to announce for AC Wraith that Warframe
Warframe.
1999
Yep.
was. They also showed like a lot of gameplay and stuff. He also is very excited about Path of Exile 2, which is another game that is out now and
Yeah.
playable.
Yeah. Uh, Path of Exile 2, didn't we talk about that last week? It's kind of like the Diablo better.
Yeah,
Yeah. I,
it's an early access now.
Chaos says that it's fantastic.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I started playing Diablo just as everybody else goes to play Path of Exile 2.
Naturally.
That's typical of me. All right. Let's hit let's hit the awards. Why don't we?
Hmm.
We already talked about the game of the year. The game of the year was Astrobot. Obviously, can't agree more, and I'm not the only one. Best game direction, Astrobot. Astrobot, what, 4 or 5 different awards winners?
I
Uh,
think it won 3 because I think it also won Best Family Game.
yes, definitely won best family game. Helldivers 2 for best ongoing game. Best narrative was Metaphor
Metaphor,
Refantazo.
deserved.
Best,
Independent game and Best Debut Independent Game both went to Balatro.
right, and also as well. I mean, generally speaking, the best independent game always makes it into the nominations of the best game. So that what did not surprise me. Game of the year.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm not familiar with Balatro. Did we have either one of us?
I
I know I haven't played it, but have you?
I have not. I've want to get it on my phone.
Mhm.
It's
It's a mobile game of all things.
it's like a it didn't start as a mobile game.
Oh, well,
But
one best mobile game.
because the mobile port is really good.
Oh, okay.
Um, but it's a poker deck building roguelike. But the way it's designed, from everything that I've heard, is that It's based on the rules of poker, but if you try to play it like poker, you will lose. Because as you play, you'll get cards that kind of change your deck and change how things are scored. So
Mhm.
that people are talking about how they got a card that basically gave them extra points for getting pairs. So they basically built their deck around, I'm just going to get a lot of pairs, pair of aces, pair of twos, pair of threes, and that gave them enough points that they eventually took it to the end and like beat that version of the game.
Hmm. Interesting.
Um, yeah, people love Balatro, and I need to play it.
Best VR AR went to Batman Arkham Shadow.
Yeah,
Best action game deservedly went to Black Myth Wukong
good.
over
I'm glad that
Helldivers,
they took
Stone
something.
Blade,
Glad that they got
Warhammer, Call of
something.
Duty. Huh?
Glad that they got something.
They did get something. Best action adventure game, Astrobot. So that's the third. Best RPG was Metaphor Refantazo. Best fighting game, Tekken 8. Best debut indie game, Balatro. Best family game, Astrobot 4. That's the fourth one. So they did win 4.
Mm.
I thought they won 4. Best racing game, EA Sports FC 25.
Sports racing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sports/racing.
Sports/racing.
Best performance went to Senua Saga, Melina
Yes.
Jurgens,
Mhm.
which,
Rightfully so.
yeah, not from everything. I have not played that game, but from everything I've heard, is that her performance was kind of the standout part of that game. Everything else was okay, but
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, no, she deserved it for that.
Best sim strategy game, Frostpunk 2. I played Frostpunk, didn't play Frostpunk 2, which makes me want to go play Frostpunk 2 because I really did like Frostpunk an awful lot. Best multiplayer game, deservedly, Helldivers 2.
Mm,
Most anticipated game, deservedly, Grand Theft Auto 6.
that's
That's going to
not
be
even a
there for just,
contest.
it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be on that list. I don't even know why they have that award because for the next until it is released, it's going to be the most anticipated game, period.
Yeah.
Best art direction was Metaphor Refantazo, which I found kind of surprising because it was up against Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree. It was up
Yeah.
against
I
Black
think it was
Wukong.
surprising, but also very deserved. I think it has the most striking art design,
Yes, all the
and I
rest of
think
them
that
are
contributed to it.
gorgeous and beautiful and expansive and just like this fantastic environments. And Metaphor is different. It's very distinct in that
Yeah,
way that Persona is very distinct in its design.
yeah.
Best score, Final Fantasy, which makes sense because it's
Mhm.
always got beautiful music. Best audio design was Senua's Saga, which I found interesting.
Mm,
I want to
they
know
do
why.
probably because the sequel did the whole uh bin binaural
Binaural.
audio.
Oh, it
Um,
did.
yeah, because she's a character who hears voices in her head, and so
Oh,
they
that makes sense.
there's a lot of, if you have headphones, a lot of one voice in this ear, one voice in this ear.
That's kind of cool. All right, I did not know that. All right, yeah, best performance, Melina Jurgens. Games for Impact, Neva, or is it Neva?
Believe it's Never.
Neva. Okay, don't know
Haven't played
anything.
it from the same developer that did Gris, which was like just a very pretty
Oh,
puzzle platformer. This
yeah,
is looks a lot like that game.
right.
Gris was good. Oh, I gotta check out Never.
Uh, best community support, Baldur's Gate, of course. Fantastic community support.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, don't know that I would have given it over Helldivers. Helldivers community support is pretty freaking awesome. I mean, they have bought into the whole like world, the whole like cosplay of this game that
Yeah, true.
that Baldur's Gate really hasn't. I mean, they
Baldur's Gate just puts out updates.
they put out updates. Um, Helldivers Helldivers has created in its own fantasy world that everybody in the support team buys into and draws you in. And I'm not
Yeah.
really quite sure. Don't get me wrong, Baldur's Gate support team, fantastic, but Helldivers has done something no other game has done. And I don't know, other than the fact that Helldivers caught so much hell about the PSN thing, the PSN network
Fucking
thing. That
fucking
might be the
PC
only thing.
players.
Right. Well, everybody loved Baldur's Gate. Everybody thought Baldur's. Nobody said a bad thing ever about Baldur's Gate, other than like, oh my god, this is the greatest game. We want more. Um, Helldivers did go through a bit of a rough time, and it wasn't their own fault. It was the whole PSN thing, and if that PSN thing had been there at the beginning, maybe it wouldn't have been an issue. Maybe it wouldn't have been as much played simply because of the whole PSN thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's chicken and the egg kind of situation. But they did kind of go through a rough spot where there was a player revolt
Yeah.
that
True.
Baldur's Gate didn't have a problem with.
Yeah.
Innovations in accessibility, Prince of Persia,
Okay.
Lost Ground.
I fucking hate this category.
Why?
It's a good category, and it should be given to innovations in accessibility.
Right.
But year after year after year, they present these nominees and never explain what
it
they
is.
do. That is so fucking innovative. Like, you could look at the list of that game, of those games, and go,
Call of Duty,
What?
Diablo 4, Dragon
Why?
Age
Why?
Veilguard, Prince of Persia, and
Why?
Star Wars Outlets.
Why? What the fuck did any of those games do to address accessibility?
The only thing that I can think of with Dragon Age is that it assumed, like, it's when it started, its default start was that it was reading the screen for you, and that you had to turn it off.
Wow, that's a low bar.
That's the only thing I could think of. But then again, I wasn't looking for accessibility features when I was doing it, so don't know. But yes, you've got a point. Is that it's such a broad category for something very specific that deserves a little bit of explanation as to why. Because the whole point is to encourage accessibility. But if you're not explaining what they've done to earn it, then it's like pointless.
Exactly. They need to just take an extra 20 seconds to go Prince of Persia for one sentence description of what it does.
It's like
for
the
one
winner
sentence.
of the Nobel Prize and then not explaining what they did to earn the Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, Bob Jones.
It frustrates
For
me.
what?
So
what did Bob Jones do that earned the Nobel Prize?
Much. And like, look, good, give it to Prince of Persia, even though the team that made that game no longer exists. So who accepted the award? And that's
who did, and he's patting himself on the back. I am such a good guy.
And that speaks to a larger issue, right? Of, oh, hey, this game won an award, but the team no longer exists. It's like when Life of Pi won the best VFX in the Oscars. By the time they won it, that VFX studio had shut down because they couldn't get anything else. But yeah, I just wish they would explain why. This category bugs me so much. It's a good award. You just got to give it some context.
Yeah. Best adaptation. I'm not going to go over the esports and content creators because fuck it. Best adaptation, Fallout.
Deserve
the television show, the Netflix show.
Yeah, great show.
I'm sorry, the Amazon show. Not
have
Netflix.
You seen it?
I have not seen it.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's so
really
fun.
Good.
It's fun too. Like, it's good, but it's a show that, like, you're gonna be smiling as you watch it.
Okay, I'll probably watch it probably the next few days because like Christmas is coming up and I'm gonna have some time off. So yeah, that was it. That's all. That's all.
That's all, folks.
So yes, that's all, folks. And now let's talk about next week. Next Sunday is my birthday. And I will be here, but I would like it to be a short show. So let's agree to kind of do a show like this, keep it on one topic, and let's just go over the stuff from the beginning of the year and how we fucked up and our biggest fuck ups of the year. And I think AC Wraith could absolutely give us a good start on that list. I want to work with you, AC Wraith, on this to create the biggest, obviously the things we got right, but what's more important is the things we got, especially me, horribly wrong. that I was talking completely out of my ass, or moreover, that something happened that came out of left field that it's like, what the fuck? How did that happen?
Hmm.
And also the things that it's like, okay, this is about to happen, and sure enough, it did. So yeah, interesting stories from the year. And I'd like to, like talk about that and keep it again to another kind of short show because obviously I really don't want to do a 3-hour show on my birthday because I've got, actually people that want to do stuff with me on my birthday this year for the first time in a really long time. So yeah, I
Okay.
want to at least give them a shot at not disappointing me.
Well, that's
'Cause
good.
they're going to disappoint me. It's the thing about being a Christmas baby, is you're always going to be, and this is something like Chris doesn't understand why I'm going over the top for his father's birthday, like making a cake instead of buying it. Like making sure that all of his presents are wrapped with bows that I made and put it the night before under the tree with little like handwritten cards on it. It's because Christmas babies get screwed, not because of the whole Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday present. That's its own special kind of hell. But because everybody is so exhausted from or broke from purchasing presents, from putting up a tree, from putting up the decorations, from going places, don't want to go to the store because the stores are all freaking full of just crazy people. You can't find any parking places. But by the time your birthday rolls around, nobody's got the bandwidth to be able to make your birthday special for you. And that's why I'm going to such lengths to make his father's birthday special because I get it. That nobody wants like to make a birthday feel like a birthday. Not just like, okay, this thing we have to stick in between all the other things we're doing for Christmas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that by example, that's the other thing that I'm doing. Another reason why I'm kind of going OTT is I'm leading an example for anybody that's smart enough to watch what I'm doing. And when I say and explain why I am doing it, to think about what might want to happen next Sunday. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they've picked up on what I've been laying down. Now, it's entirely possible they haven't, but they're going to get one shot to do it right.
Fingers crossed for you.
We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
At this point, I'll just be happy if I get freaking unsalted
You
butter.
just get unsalted
just
butter.
just want a pound of unsalted butter, dude. Just
What if you get the unsalted butter next Sunday as a birthday present?
it's going to be really difficult because I really want to make Christmas cookies, and I haven't. I made one batch of cookies that weren't Christmas cookies because Chris is like, yeah, I don't really like Christmas cookies. The decorated cookies are never my favorite. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to make a batch of cookies you do like. So that way, when I go make a batch of cookies you're not crazy about, you'll be like, maybe they're good.
Mm-hmm. I
Anyway,
mean, you could also just make cookies because you want the cookies.
I do. I kind of want to make Christmas cookies.
Just make some fucking Christmas cookies.
I'm trying to make Christmas cookies, but I don't have any unsalted butter.
You can come over here and make Christmas cookies.
Okay. Do you have unsalted butter?
I think so.
You know what else I can't find is fucking eggs. There's no eggs in the local market here because it's all been recalled because the bird flu, the avian
Oh,
flu.
really?
Yeah. Nob Hill
Ooh.
Markets in my area, down the street, which is the one that I go to because it's closest. Yeah, haven't had eggs and milk. Haven't had eggs and milk.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit! We just bought some today.
Yeah, well, they have it everywhere else. So I don't know what's going on with Nob Hill, but they can't get eggs or milk. Anyway, so on that note.
Oh yeah, the cookies don't have to be decorated. Make
No.
old-fashioned ones with rum.
Yeah, no, I did make old-fashioned ones with rum. I made the chocolate crinkle cookies last night, but I really do want to make decorated sugar cookies because they're decorated
Yes.
sugar cookies because it's fucking Christmas.
Come over here, we'll do it. Rachel used to do that with her friends every year, but they couldn't get together this year to do it. So
All right.
now you can do it.
Yeah. All right. So on that note, shall we close this out, please?
Irish cream might be better.
No, that's if there's Irish cream in the house, it ain't going into cookies. Mm-mm.
Just grab whatever you can find and put it in
No,
the cookies.
it's going in the Edie, not the cookies. Click, click,
Mm,
click. All right, so shall we close this out? Even though we
yes.
didn't even open it up technically?
It was open. We're always open.
It's true. All right, let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 768. Recorded this December 15th, 2025. Or 2024. Sorry, I'm getting ready for 2024. I've been Edie Sellers with me as Nicola. Ways to get a hold of us, gamehounds.net is our website, gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record the show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern here on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, V-I-D-S, all one word, as in videos. And also on Twitch, we are the GameHounds. So if you are watching at any of those places, if you haven't taken a moment, hit the like, subscribe, whatever button to approve of us and say, good job, please do so. It would be my Christmas wish that you do so right now. It does really help. Definitely appreciate it. If you'd like to join us next week live, love to have you, especially for my birthday. Let's make it a party. I may be drinking. We don't know. We'll see what plans are. We are 100% pigs now. Please, if you have not already, come to Creature and Thunder. $1 a month is all we ask. It helps offset the cost for everything that we do here. In addition, if you are watching on Twitch and you are an Amazon Prime member and you have not used your free Amazon Prime subscription, guess what? If you do that now, Amazon sends us money and you don't have to pay for it, which would be great because it makes a difference. It helps us offset costs for all of the subscriptions that are necessary for us to do this show. Because we've been doing it almost going on, 18 years is coming up? 17 years is coming up. So it'd be nice to actually, have a little extra money in the extra pocket so that we can actually do some more stuff with it. Don't forget, we do have a Discord channel. I'm putting it up on the screen if you are watching now. But our Discord channel, right there, please feel free to join us. That's where Nick and Jaeger and AC Wraith and all the other people who aren't necessarily here in the podcast right now, they're in the Discord channel and talking with each other. So please join the Discord. If you're listening to this show on iTunes, please leave us a review and please join our Discord. We would love to have you. By the way, really leave that review because a lot of people think that we don't exist anymore because I haven't been updating. But I promise to update now, and it'll be a consistent thing, especially in 2025. So leave us that review so that we can get pumped up higher in the algorithm. Have a great week, everyone. Have a Merry Christmas. If I don't talk to you before then, take care, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. All right, so I'm going to go now because I really have to go to the bathroom. I left Denny's, drank a bunch of coffee at Denny's for breakfast, and ran here, started up the show, and realized, oh, fuck. And I've needed to go to the bathroom for the last hour. So I will talk to you all later. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Get that butter.